Good morning and welcome. It's time again for another edition of your guide on aviation, aviation business and related issues, Aviator World. I am Udoh. On the program today, we shall be examining challenges in repositioning Nigeria's aviation industry. In the studio this morning to tackle this subject is someone who has been on Aviator World. When he was last on the program, I remember saying that would like to meet up with him again soon. Well, here we are. Our guest is the Managing Director of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, Engineer Nnamdi Udoh. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, before we take up our topic for discussion today, we'll take a short break to see this report.
The aviation industry in Nigeria in the last 2.5 years has been transformed enough to attract all sorts of attention. The industry, no doubt, is currently experiencing what could be described as journey out of the woods due to infrastructural renewal, facilities put in place to ensure convenience of passengers and to prevent crashes and air incidents.
These facilities that directly impact on air safety include the things I said that the International Civil Aviation Plan takes its bearing from, CNSATM, and that is communication, navigation, and surveillance.
As nice as this may sound, numerous challenges abound confronting the efforts of aviation authorities in repositioning the industry to glorious heights.
The minister is doing a very good job, and I think she needs to be encouraged to do more. As like in everything that is in Nigeria that has been eroded through our, I don't want to call it corruption or indiscipline, it's the same thing that is reflecting in the aviation industry. And we've seen somebody that is stepping up on the plate to challenge that and move the industry to the next platform.
Although industry watchers believe that putting the industry on the right track requires consistent funding, they posit that authorities should also allow the experts to man key departments and agencies in order to achieve robust reforms.
Nigeria is not a country that is living in isolation. We have to identify what is happening in other parts of the world, and we have to meet up what are the standards that are happening globally. So obviously you will have opposition here and there, but at the end of the day, you will look at what is happening and ask yourself, is it in the best interest of the country and the industry itself and the Nigerian people and passengers generally? It is. It will bring about employment, it will bring about prosperity, it will bring about development, it will bring about investments in so many areas in aviation.
The minister's real desire to empower the people in the industry to make this industry work in Nigeria. It is an all-important industry to the economic growth of Nigeria, without a shadow of a doubt. Are we on the right track in Nigeria? I think we are. Is the industry set for growth? Yes, it is.
Despite reviews of several safety regulations and the listing of Nigerian airspace as safe by ICAO, recent air crashes tended to drag the country's recent safety audit to disrepute, a situation that is currently being addressed with vigor. On the economic end, retrogressive concession and lease agreements the ministry entered into in the past are being reviewed with a view to making airport operations and management profitable and sustainable.
This administration is a transformative administration. And in that context, things that could pass previously are unacceptable under these circumstances that we are in now. And that's what talks directly to the previous concession agreements that existed. The simple way to put it is that the concession agreements, the major concession agreements, in my language, they were robberies. And that's very hard language, but I stand by it. And the only thing that prevents them from concessionaires from being called robbers is that we signed with them. So somehow there was a collusion to effect the kind of situation we found in these concession agreements. There is nowhere in the world that people will not go to jail for those concession agreements.
As for the Nigerian factor, sentiments expressed by persons who otherwise should know better must be discountenanced by Nigerians, as every government's stride in the right direction is usually met with unjustifiable criticism, which in a few cases made enforcement of regulations minimal.
We should be grateful to God for the creation of the person of the President Minister of Aviation, a minister of many vision. He's a visionary minister. He has done a lot in this industry. Improvement in the airports all over the country. Every Nigerian can attest to that. Many airlines are coming on board. He's sanitizing the industry to the extent that the old bad habits are being eradicated and new ones are coming into focus.
I want to guarantee Nigerians that I will not leave any project uncompleted. Any project that we start, we will finish. Even those that are abandoned, we will complete them because it's the right thing to do.
For the aviation authorities to reposition the industry in the face of these challenges, the passenger safety and comfort is paramount in the order of things. Remodeling of airports must be sustained, and the continuous update of navigational aids and other safety enablers must not stop.
You're welcome back. Let's get down to the matter of the moment. What are the challenges you have identified in repositioning the aviation industry?
First, we have people. We have an age-long strategy, and of course, the operations. First is the people.
Okay.
The aging workforce. The greatest critics of what is going on are, as it were, aviation professionals. Everyone understands when your hand is not on the plow, you definitely do not know the distance he has gone. Today, no one practices writing in primary school. Why? Before the child is of school age, he's already using his hands on computers.
Okay.
We need to recognize that this aging workforce, these aging professionals, needs to be replaced. And replacing them, training indices must change. That's one. Two, the technology required in driving the industry is also a major challenge. Now, back again to the human resource. If you are not computer literate today, you would definitely not be a good air traffic controller. You might not even graduate as an engineer. In fact, it's a requirement by the Council of Regulation of Engineering Practice in Nigeria that you must use the computer before you can say you're an engineer. You use it to design, you use it to manage projects, you use it to do all day-to-day engineering work and analysis. And of course, if you begin to identify the other issues, like I mentioned, the strategies. What were we doing before now? Do we need to change the regulation? Yes. Take, for example, the general aviation that everybody knows has been an astronomical growth. It's because, number one, the airspace is safer than it used to be. Number two, there is growth in the industry, so people are coming. We must have a robust regulatory framework to balance that. Otherwise, we'll get to a place one day there'll be total confusion. And for every aviation business to grow anywhere else in the world, or he has grown anywhere else in the world, general aviation is the numbers to look at.
Okay, you've mentioned three challenges: the aging workforce, the need for technology, and of course strategies. Now, who is handling the training, for instance? Whose responsibility is it?
Training is domiciled in every organization, but we'll have a center of excellence in
Do you have the facilities?
First, I break down the trainings. First, we have a center of excellence in Nigeria, the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology. Two, we have domiciled in every agency on-the-job training. Looking at a place like FCAA, if you graduate as an aeronautical engineer and they expose you to Zaria to go through the rudimentary ab initio aircraft certification and maintenance training, and you come back, and you're either an aircraft maintenance engineer or you are an airworthiness surveyor. The truth of the matter is you need 2, 3, 4 years to be able to...
Well, sorry to interrupt you here.
Go ahead.
I remember that I think it was in 2002 or 2003 when there was the graduation of some pilots at NCAT.
Yeah.
And that was like the first graduation in about 10 or so years.
Yeah.
Is that still the trend?
No. I was going to go there. I talked about NCAT. That's government. Today, we have another one in Ilorin for pilots. And
is that government owned?
No, no, no.
It's private. It's a private initiative.
You know, encouraged by the state government.
Okay.
You look at a place like South Africa, they have over 20 to 20, about 30 private aviation pilot flying schools. And yet, there are about 40 to 50 million South Africans. No, 87 million South Africans. Nigeria, 150 million people. Only one, and then just Ilorin the other day. The old ones we used to have in Magbon, the flying school, the private flying school in Lagos, near Badagry, is closed. The flying club in Zaria is also no more there. So we need to find out what do we need to do to create an enabling environment. That takes us back to what the aviation ministry rolled out, which we called the roadmap. We need to get private sector involved. You, as a broadcaster, who says you cannot retire having a PPL, flying your own $75,000 worth Cessna 172 or 152? That's what happens all over the world because people need to get aviation is exciting. So for flying, there's now 2 schools, but basically the major one is the one that government had put together in late 1960s at the College of Aviation Technologies area. So they've been graduating students, and for NAMA, FAN, AIB, and other institutions, other agencies in aviation, regularly graduate students in air traffic control, aeronautical engineering, electronics engineering services, firefighting, area radar, avionics, etc.
Okay, now adherence to adequate to set standards and adequate development of aviation infrastructure is also has also been identified as some of the challenges. Now, what's your take? How do you address these challenges? How do you help in repositioning? How do you apply them to apply them in the repositioning of the industry?
Again, we built airport many years ago, like my colleague in the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria would always say, and we allowed those infrastructures to be buried. However, over the past few years, there have been frantic efforts that put together to address those things. World Bank has done a study. I was partners with for World Bank, many other engineering outfits, CETA, IATA, ICAO. So there have been studies made that is to address all these issues. And when people see what is in the public domain, like the airports, the toilet, you see now that the toilets are changing, the airports are changing. Some people say, oh no, we don't like the tile. That's good. We can change the style next year. We can put marble. But the important thing is, the one that was there in 1979, 1980 is no more there. That the toilet or the water is not running fast, fair enough, change the pump. Good thing is, you don't most see brown and yellow water coming out of decayed and old pipes that is being in the system that the airport came with. So that's one. 2, these problems are in a chain. You go link by link. And most of the time, the one you see is the one that is in public domain. The ones that are at the back end, like fire services, you recognize there's been arguments of, oh, there's no fire service. But nobody prays for an accident to happen. But when it does happen, there's been tremendous response to that. And that helps to establish the category of an airport, the level of fire cover. So that's also critical. You also notice that in some airports, there have been issues of not available night landing facility. What time I made the domestic runway, what you call 1/8 left, for about 5-6 years, there was no light there. There's been a provision of what we call a rechargeable lighting system. Not conventional one that you lay the cable, but service is being provided. And that will, at the end of the day, be a backup to a conventional cable system.
But these lights, the night landing facilities are not in all the airports, are
no, for example, I'll give you an example. A place like Asaba, they have a night landing facility, but it's a daylight operation. because of other safety issues that the state government and aviation authorities plus us are addressing, like obstacle clearance limit, like edges of the runway. Now the light is there. Now they're addressing those gaps. And when we identify a gap in aviation, it's an open end. They will work towards closing it. It doesn't necessarily mean to say that airport is unusable. Then you publish through a notice to OMN NOTAM or an aeronautical information circular saying these are the limitations to this airport. You cannot go there after 7 o'clock. If you go there before 7 o'clock, you cannot take off because it's a daylight operation. And a place like Enugu, also the runway was resurfaced, but the lighting was not coming on stream as fast as the resurfaced runway. The airport couldn't be closed. There was also a provised motorized night runway lighting system that is available, and that's scalable. If the conventional light is put in place and there's a failure, say Calabar or Yola, you move those lights there, and that's how it is all over the world. You have rechargeable light, runway lighting system, you have solar, and then you have the conventional one. So by the time all these are sorted, you have main power supply, conventional lighting system, you have solar, you have rechargeable, you have backups of 3.
Let's move on to something else. Earlier on, you mentioned the level of safety in the Nigerian airspace has been completely safer now. But passenger confidence right now is not very high when it concerns the safety of our airspace. How is this going to impact on the reposition of the aviation industry in Nigeria?
Why are we having this advocacy? Through you, myself, bringing message home to our people, is because whenever they say growth, there is in any environment, take the universities, take the banking sector, people's confidence must be carried along. The customer feedback loop. The feedback loop has been like, oh, we're not really sure. And that's why we are here, to build the confidence back to Nigerians. How many Nigerians know that even that load master who is carrying their luggages to the aeroplane, it's not a job for everyone, that person needs to be certified? That's confidence number 1. Number 2, even the cabin crew on board who gives us coffee and smile at us, it's nothing sexist. That's first safety officers. They evacuate you out of a 737 in 90 seconds. That's the job of that lady. And you must know that those ladies you see every 6 months go to the sea to do what we call ditching, preparing them for sea evacuation, etc., among other drills that they do. Okay. So we need to begin to let our people know that we're as robust an industry as could be anywhere else in the world. Otherwise, Arik will not fly to South Africa. Arik will not fly to New York.
Well,
Arik will not go to London.
I think that we need not advertise the airline. But
no, not the airline. It's Nigerian.
Yeah, but you're taking me now to another aspect of this discussion.
Yeah.
Now, we can say that in the aviation industry, you don't have an industry if you don't have viable operating airlines.
Correct.
Now, while Nigerian officials are looking into some of the key airports as transit hubs for the continent, one major challenge is that our airlines are facing bankruptcy. What is responsible for this?
Well, without trying to be a very good economist or a financial guru, but the truth remains that the business models of our airlines in the past might not have been profitable. Now, if it were profitable at the time, maybe the governance structure in those airports